Day 2 of Washington Commanders training camp is in the books, and if you're an offensive-minded fan, this one might sting a little. Turnovers piling up, receivers struggling to get open, and a defense that looks like it's already operating a full step ahead of everybody else on the field. Let's break down everything happening in Ashburn right now. Let's start with the injury report, because there's some news to track there too. Starting center Nick Allegretti suffered a strained calf in the very first practice of camp, though it's not considered serious and he should be back before long. In the meantime, veteran Julian Good-Jones is stepping in as the first-team center rather than the team's rookie sixth-round pick, who's still getting acclimated to the organization. Elsewhere, a receiver who made a highlight reel, spinning toe-tap touchdown grab the day before, sat out practice with some foot soreness, hopefully just a minor, short-term issue. Now let's get into the actual practice performance, because the consensus emerging from these first 2 days is pretty clear. The offense is struggling to get anything consistent going, while the defense has looked genuinely dominant. A couple of individual bright spots have stood out, most notably rookie receiver Antonio Williams out of Clemson, who's shown real flashes early. Terry McLaurin, meanwhile, has been relatively quiet so far, likely a byproduct of opposing defenders keying in on him specifically. Understanding that taking him away removes this offense's most proven weapon. Beyond those two, the results have been thin. A touchdown grab here, a dropped would-be touchdown there, one nice spinning catch. But on a down-to-down basis, this offense simply hasn't found consistent rhythm yet. A big part of that struggle reportedly comes down to receivers not creating enough separation, with a defensive secondary playing genuinely suffocating coverage through the first 2 sessions. To be fair, it's completely normal for a defense to look ahead of an offense this early in camp, especially with a new offensive system being installed. Quarterback Jayden Daniels is adjusting to operating from under center far more than he's used to. A real adjustment in footwork and mental processing that simply takes real time to master, particularly the discipline of turning his back to the defense on play action and then quickly resetting his read at the top of the drop. Nobody should have expected this to look polished on day 1 or 2. But the bigger concern worth flagging is specifically the receiver room. Multiple younger receivers this front office has invested real draft capital in, including Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane, have struggled both to separate and to consistently secure the football when opportunities do arise. It's only been 2 practices, and this coaching staff will likely let the rest of the week play out before making any real decisions. But early returns here are genuinely underwhelming for a group many hoped would take a real step forward this summer, especially with veteran free agent Stefon Diggs still sitting unsigned on the open market. And that brings up a genuinely reasonable argument. Signing Diggs could instantly transform this receiver room from a legitimate weakness into a real strength. Not only would the second receiver spot improve dramatically, but the third receiver spot would improve too, since Antonio Williams currently profiles as a better fit further down the depth chart than as a true number 2 or 3 option right now. And critically, adding a proven number 2 receiver would also make life easier for Terry McLaurin himself, since defenses would no longer be able to fully key in on him alone. If this is genuinely meant to be a win-now season for this franchise, there's a real case to be made for going out and adding that proven veteran presence before the season begins. Beyond the receiver struggles, turnovers were a recurring theme throughout the second day of camp. Backup quarterbacks Marcus Mariota and Ethan Garbers both threw interceptions, with cornerback Rasul Douglas and safety Malik Spencer coming away with the picks. Douglas in particular capped the day with a pick 6, not exactly the way any offense wants to close out a rough practice. Running back Bill Krosky-Merritt also lost a fumble, continuing a ball security issue that plagued him last season as well, a trend this coaching staff will be hoping to see cleaned up as camp progresses. 3 total turnovers in a single practice is not an ideal look for an offense already struggling to generate consistent rhythm, even accounting for the fact that it's still very early in this new system's installation. On a more encouraging note for the defense, Prized free agent edge rusher addition Odafe Owe has been impressing early, showing off real power getting after the quarterback through the first 2 sessions. Worth tempering expectations slightly here, though. Pads haven't gone on yet, and evaluating trench play, offensive or defensive, without full contact is notoriously difficult. Once padded practices begin, we'll get a much clearer, more reliable picture of just how legitimate this early defensive line dominance really is. At kicker, both Drew Stevens and Jake Moody connected on all 6 of their attempts, keeping that competition very much alive. Moody enters with the edge as last year's incumbent, who was fairly consistent throughout the season, while Stevens arrives as an undrafted rookie with a big leg but a more inconsistent accuracy track record at the college level. Expect the preseason games themselves to carry the most weight in ultimately deciding that battle. Stepping back to look at the bigger picture, this defense has genuinely dominated the opening stretch of camp, and there's real reason for optimism here beyond just these first 2 practices. This scheme, built around aggressive blitz packages, stunts, and games designed to get pressure home quickly and force fast decisions from opposing quarterbacks, has the potential to elevate a unit that might not be the most individually talented on paper into something genuinely disruptive. Encouraging early reports about linebacker speed, playmaking from the secondary, and strong showings from added defensive pieces all point toward a defense that could take real strides forward this season. And here's the broader hope worth watching as the season approaches. Over the past couple of years, it's been this offense carrying a struggling defense. This year, with a genuinely elevated defensive scheme in place, there's a real chance the dynamic flips, with the defense helping carry this team through the growing pains of installing a brand new offensive system, especially given how difficult this team's schedule looks to open the season. Getting through that opening gauntlet with some early wins in hand would go a long way towards setting up a real second-half push. So here's where things stand after 2 days of Commanders training camp. An offense still finding its footing in a brand new system, compounded by real receiver room concerns and a rough turnover day. A defense looking genuinely dominant and potentially poised to be this team's backbone if the offense needs time to find its rhythm. And a legitimate ongoing conversation about whether this front office should make a real push to add Stefon Diggs before the season begins. So tell us, do you think the Commanders should go out and sign Stefon Diggs to fix this receiver room? And how concerned are you about these early turnover issues on offense? Let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single update as training camp continues to unfold. There's a lot more to track in the days ahead, and we'll be right back here with the next update very soon. Hail to the Commanders!